Do 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 do. Mm. Good morning, America. Not good morning, Vietnam. Even though that is a fantastic movie starring the late great Robin Williams. So, how's it going, everybody? By the way, it's 420 today. That's right. Happy 420 weed day, marijuana day, to every one of you. Um, I'm here to give you my live review of one of my favorite freshman shows, Warrior, that airs on Cinemax, which is, I believe, part of HBO. So it's a premium cable, of course. And because of that, uh, they allow f bombs and graphic violence and graphic sex and strong sexual content and nudity because that's how Cinemax and HBO and Showtime and all those boys play. And all right, so let's get right to it. Let me get my microphone here. Okay. Just like with most of my TV reviews and my episode recaps, this video contains a bit of spoilers. And that's because I'll be giving you a refresher of what happened in last week's episode and also a bit of recap and also explain to you the context or the plot synopsis of what happens in this episode. So, heads up, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. This video contains minor spoilers. Okay. Last week we saw Assam, Andrew Koji's character, got thrown in jail because he was trying to be this chivalrous guy, right? He's part of the hop made Tong gang, but he's an there's a bit of part of him that's like a hero, an idealist of some sort. So he wants to like return the glove to Penelope Blake. And when he sees that Penelope Blake and her Chinese servant were attacked by this Irish thugs, he steps in and intervenes. And so, oh, Robert is here. Is it early for Polar Pop? Yeah, it's a bit early. And the weather's right now outside is gloomy, but whatever, right? Mm. You like what you like, Robert, right? We like what we like. And it seems that I have an addiction. um, so he got thrown in jail, and obviously they want to stick the double homicide on him as well, even though he did not commit that double homicide. That was um I forgot her name, Olivia Cheng's character. Let me get to her here. Itoy. There you go, Itoy. Hey, Robert, me too. That's right. That's right. We all have our vices. Mine are Toblerone, chicken wings, and Polar Pop. So just a refresher. That's what happened. So in this episode, I have on my notes here. I want to break it down to you. Let's start with the most exciting part. So, um, the corrupt cop, the racist cop that works with the Irish thugs. The cop's name is Buckley. So uh, Leary is the Irish thug that leads the Irish gang. Leary tells Buckley, "Hey, you know what? The judge is too fair," and he's right. The judge is too fair. I was surprised by that too when I watched this episode. They actually got a pretty good judge. He the prosecutor wants to stick that double homicide on him, but the judge's like, "Hey, you don't have any evidence." It's like, so the murder's out. We're just gonna stay on this assault charges, and hey, that's cool. But Leary doesn't like that, so Leary's like, you know what? We're gonna skip the trial because the trial is happening on the next day. So we're gonna skip the trial and we're gonna get straight to the sentencing. And by that is that Buckley brings in three Irish thugs into the same jail cell as Assam. So that man, this episode starts out with a bang, like because 3-on-1. Um, 3-on-1 provides for an exciting fight scene, right? So you know that these three guys are thrown into jail not because they committed any crime. It's because they're there to rough up Assam. And so what happens is this amazing fight scene. Oh man, so well choreographed. All right, maybe amazing is a bit exaggerated because I love the show, so it's kind of I'm biased here. But it's very very well choreographed, no kidding. Um, and it's very well shot. I love the camera movement on this fight scene. So the camera is very very fluid, right? And you can it pulls back so you can see everything, every kick, every punch, but it's fluid how the camera moves because he has to fight three guys. So when that usually happens is that he would have one hand this way and then kick the other one, so the camera would go from left to right as he does his thing. And oh sorry, and then sometimes the camera would pan from the bottom going up. So oh my god, I love it. I love how the camera just goes a lot from the bottom up. So it gives you a sense of like, man, authority and power, like like somebody who knows what he's doing, beating up three guys who don't know what they're doing. And on top of that, that's number one and two, right? Fluid from the bottom up. Number the third one, you actually get to see every time each of the three bad guys get beat up. Like you actually get to see their face bashed in, their legs cracked, whatever. You have to see it. So other martial arts shows out there or other action movies, sometimes they would try to cut shots together and try to stitch them together. And I noticed that Into the Badlands commits that same crime sometimes. Last year's action film Mile 22 is the biggest offender because you have one of the biggest martial artists around, Iko Uwais, and you're not letting him do his thing. You're trying to just cut his, stitches of his, like, okay, let's get a shot of his leg going up and then a shot of his fist going to the last guy. It's like, dude, just pull back and just show him, in all his glory. And so that's what Warrior does, and I love that. I love that. Oh, Robert says I don't have Cinemax. I have. Yeah, yeah. That's the thing, though, Robert. I feel very sorry. Not in a demeaning way. I'm just saying, like, there are so many premium cables on top of there are so many streaming services these days. I mean, we have Netflix, that's also a subscription fee. We have DC Universe, that's also a subscription fee. We have Hulu, Amazon, each of them has their own fee. And then, of course, HBO, Cinemax, and Showtime. Sometimes, we kind of wish that these things would just be streamlined somehow, the premium ones, the networks that allow for f-bombs and nudities and graphic violence. Not the kind of like how basic cable is kind of streamlined into one package. When you buy basic cable, I wish that it was like that for these premiums and streaming services and Disney Plus too. Yeah, Disney Plus is gonna be another bill as well. So I get it. If you don't have Cinemax, I don't blame you, my friend. I don't blame you. It is tough out there for TV watchers. There are so many options, and many of them, or many of which, it's extra bill on a monthly basis. But I'm gonna give you my review anyway. I'm gonna give you my review of these shows still, so you'll see me here faithfully. So the episode starts out with a bang like that. Wow, the fight scene in the jail cell, 3 against 1, and this is also after that whole thing is over. Um, uh, uh, Assam reveals to Buckley that he can speak English, and so Buckley says, "Oh, you can speak English all this time? F you, man. You should have said something." Uh, but what's funny is that Assam doesn't reveal that he can speak English to Lee. Lee, as a refresher, Lee is the officer who's an idealist. He plays by the book. He's actually a good officer. He's not corrupt. He's from the South, though, and because the story is set in the late 1800s, there in San Francisco there are white people who, because they're part of the North, who look down on Southerners like Lee, even though Lee is not one of those Southerners who are racist or for slavery. Still, just because he's a Southerner, they look down on him, just like they look down on the Chinese men or the foreigners, Chinese or oh, thank you, Robert. We appreciate your thoughts and reviews. Thank you so much. And yes, Apple TV is coming. That's also Spielberg thing. So it's just saturated, man. It's just too saturated these days, the business. Okay, so let's get to my next note. Um, I I think the show writers do a fine job of, and I mentioned to you this before in last week's review, of making sure that they're not blanket blaming one ethnic. It's like not like, oh, all the Irishmen are bad, or all the Chinese men are bad, or no, or all these guys are good, and all that guys. No, like there are good guys and there are bad guys within the the white or Caucasian community, and there are good guys and there are bad guys within um, the Chinatown community. So I think the writers do a good job of addressing that to you, of conveying that to you, making sure that you get that. And in this case, though, I want to point out a few characters. I think Lee is one of the good guys in the Caucasian community. Penelope Blake is one of the good guys, and uh, there's a few, Chinese foreigners also that have a good interest in their heart, that they're just like, you know what, I'm just gonna do my thing, work my 9 to 5, go home, stuff like that. Now, um, here's the thing. Again, spoiler alert. I'm assuming some spoilers here because I'm dissecting the episode. Um, with regards to Mai Ling is the sister of Assam, and Mai Ling has power in the rival gang, right? Because Assam is part of the Hapway. Now, I love that. So it's not Romeo and Juliet, different facets of gangs and then falling in love. No, this is the relationship is siblingship or siblinghood. And so the secret is, that hasn't been revealed, because if it's revealed, then Assam will get in trouble, is that he is the brother of Mai Ling. And Mai Ling has a past. She has a past too. And she comes in along with Joe Taslim's character. They come in to intimidate the witnesses, witnesses with quotation mark. They're actually the thugs that were attacking Penelope Blake last week. So they want to testify against John Chinaman, against Assam, for the charges of assault. Because they're the ones that got assaulted. So she comes in with Joe Taslim and she intimidates them, the thugs. And man, that whole scene, you can hear the pin drop. It was so intense. It's so intense. Like, you here's the scene where you get a sense of Myling's, um how far Myling would go for something, not just for her brother, just for anything. Like, she would, like, be willing to kill a kid. That's how, at least implicated that way, at least implying that way. And that makes her dangerous. And you know what, just a note on that, um the justice system back then, how we Americans, we take pride in our justice system, right? And we totally should, we should not take justice into our own hands. We should trust the system. But at the same time, the system can get flawed at times, especially back then in the 1800s. I mean, imagine, like, being a cop or an investigator or being a detective back then. It's hard, man, because you don't have a reliable medical examiner. You don't have a reliable collection of evidence. You don't have evidence storage that actually can hold evidence that long. And back then in the 1800s, because it's hard to gather evidence, most of the time you only rely on witnesses, and witnesses are not reliable. uh, because, just like in today's episode, or last night's episode, I should say, um, Mylin comes in and intimidates the witnesses. Now, I'm not defending those Irish thugs, but I'm just saying witness tampering and witness intimidation, that could easily change the tide of a trial, any trial. So imagine, just, I'm thinking, like, going through that scene, I was like, wow, there must have been thousands of innocent people that have been thrown in jail or executed, because we have death penalty here, because lack of evidence, or because he says, because the witnesses says so. How do you know they're not lying? So man, it would so be terrible. It would suck. I would totally hate it if I find myself in the 1800s justice system. If I find myself as a defendant in a court in the 1800s, because I think I would get fucked. I would get executed just like that, man. Um, it's a scary, scary thing. I'm glad today we have DNA testing, right? We have video camera surveillance. We have cell phone cam, people cell phone. So there's all kinds of stuff. Uh, uh, Stuff to corroborate, stuff to actually like, hey, we have something that says otherwise. Robert says I was correctional officer in Crow for 24 years, and uh, Corona for 24 years, and now retired for 2 years now. The system is beyond flawed in California. There you go, there you go, there you go. So today's I keep saying today, last night's episode of Warrior, just kind of brings up that whole thing again. It's like, wow, it must really suck for a foreigner, an immigrant, who already viewed differently by other immigrants who have established themselves in America. It must suck for them to go through the justice system that can be manipulated. So yeah, just want to make a note there. Okay, so let's get to the next scene here, the next note that I have on my screen. When Assam comes home, um, he gets treated with a celebration by Jason Tobin's character. Jason Tobin is one of my favorite actors. Um, at least now that he is. Turns out Jason Tobin was part of the movie Better Luck Tomorrow. Better Luck Tomorrow. That was 2002, 2004. See, here's the thing, though, you guys. I'm Asian, and I grew up watching tons of martial art stuff, whether it's produced by Hong Kong or produced by Hollywood. Um, but when it comes to non-martial art movies that are here or that are uh, packaged for American audiences, that only comes out maybe once in a blue moon. All right. Joy Luck Club. Joy Luck Club was in the 90s. And then Better Luck Tomorrow, that's like about maybe 5-7 years or maybe 10 years after Joy Luck Club. And then 15 years later, we got last year's Crazy Rich Asians. So when it comes to non-martial art Asian movies like Joy Luck Club, Better Luck Tomorrow, and Crazy Rich Asians, it's it's few far between. Sorry, my nose is running. I apologize. So it's few far between, and so when one does surface, and it for us, at least for the Asian community, it makes an impression. We remember it. It's like, oh, that's the guy from that. Even more so than that's the guy from that one martial art movie. So seeing Jason Tobin as part of the cast of Warrior is fantastic. I think he's a fantastic actor. So there's this party scene, and at one point, the leader of the Hot Way shows up, and he teaches Assam a lesson. So he starts beating up Assam. And okay, so my thought about that is this is a show of authority, right? So the boss has to let the others know that, hey, I'm still in charge here. So I'm gonna beat up this guy who, because of his own doing, gets thrown into to the jail cell. It's like if you're in a prison and you have to, like, this old ancient rule that if you're fresh and you have to beat up the biggest guy in the cafeteria. so the boss is like, hey, I gotta show my otherwise, if I don't do that, if I don't show it publicly, who knows if any of my other men will be like, crossing the pond and also try to mess with the Caucasian guys again and get themselves also thrown in jail. So he has to set, he by beating up Assam, he's telling everybody, hey, fall in line, show loyalty. We gotta know where we are in this area of San Francisco. Our powers, there's other rival gang. There's that Caucasian people over there. So, um, you know, follow me. All right, I'll keep you safe. So that's his way of saying it. Although it's a bit hypocritical because he did not want to help Assam get out of jail. Turns out it was Mai Ling's witness intimidation that got him out. So goes to show, he may demand people's loyalty, but if you expect him to show loyalty back to you, would he do it? Probably not. He probably would throw you under the bus. He's that kind of boss. So that's my note on that. Oh, by the way, my favorite character, I got a lot of favorite characters in this show, but one of them is, let me get this name correctly here, Wang Chao. Wang Chao, sorry. And he's played by one of the most prominent Asian actors who's been in a lot of shows, including Banshee, um, and Iron Fist. His name is Hoon Lee. Hoon Lee. And Wang Chao is this guy who, the way I describe him is he's out just for himself. He's out looking for number one. Um, he would probably he's the kind of guy who would play both sides of the rivalry. Like he would go to the other gang, and he would go to this gang, and he would also play nice with the Caucasians. Um, because the way he sees it is like, okay, I gotta play all my angles and see where any of those angles can benefit me, you know. And I Wang Chao has this fantastic line that he said last week's episode, and I just want to share with you because the writers of this show, man. The because of Cinemax, because of HBO Cinemax, the restrictions are off, right? No holds barred. And Wang Chao was in a bar and he was eating something really unhealthy last week. And I think Atoy says to him, like, hey, you're going to die soon if you keep eating that. And Wang Chao says, hey, I don't care. I'm paraphrasing here, okay? He said, I don't care. Uh, my philosophy is live rich, die young, preferably, preferably with a duck riding me like a thoroughbred. Oh my God! What a great line! What a great line! I don't know if I believe in that philosophy though, but uh, it's so Wang Chao. It's so Wang Chao. Like it's something that he would say. So he says, "Live rich, die young, preferably with a duck riding me like a thoroughbred." That's also the thing. There's a lot of derogatory, because of Cinemax. So they're free to explore all kinds of free speech. Um, I don't want to say all of them here, but apparently for Caucasians, they call them ducks. The Chinese foreigners call the Caucasians ducks. So it's like, hey, don't cross the pond and mingle with the ducks. But for Wang Chao, he finds pleasure in having sex with white women. So that's what he's basically saying is that preferably with a white woman riding me like a thoroughbred. Uh, that's how I prefer that's how I see myself dying. That's what he says. So what a great line! What a great line! Fantastic performances. I just love the shows. Like I said, it's like The Wire. You remember The Wire, the HBO show The Wire? So it's not just about one investigation trying to take down the Baltimore drug leaders. Um, it's more than just that. It's also the intricacies or the corruption in the mayor's office and the red tapes and the bureaucracy and the politics. That's The Wire. So Warrior has that too. Like in today's last night's episode, Mayor Blake, this big grandstanding in front of the angry crowd because they're angry because Assam gets released. Um, So he's like, hey, he does this whole politics speech. I got you, man. I got your back. We're the hard workers around here. Vote for me. Get me reelected in a diplomatic way, of course. So that reminds me of a lot of politicians out there who do that same style of grandstanding. They would take advantage of a tragedy or a court justice system that get everybody riled up, and the politicians like Mayor Rama Manuel from Chicago, when that Justice Smollett thing happening, he would get in front of the camera, he'll get in front of the microphone, and he would pretend outraged, like, yeah, no, even though he rarely goes on camera, so politicians do that. Politicians do that exactly, and congressmen do that too in the chambers of our great halls. So, and I think actor Christian McKay, who plays Mayor Samuel Blake, does a fantastic job, brilliant job of performing that. What a this show is filled with excellent actors. The ones playing the Chinese characters, the ones playing the white characters, even the Irish thugs who plays the Irish thug leader Leary, played by Dean Jagger. Dean Jagger is also excellent. As very He has this bullish, boorish approach, like like a tiger really doesn't have. A tiger doesn't really have an opponent or a nemesis, and so because of that, he would he would come towards you, right? He doesn't care if you wear an expensive suit or if you have a title. He would approach you and he'd be like, he would just stare down at you. It's like, hey, I may look dirtier than you, but you're my bitch. And the way Dean Jagger does that is awesome, awesome, awesome. So, guys, Warrior is on Cinemax. If you do happen to have Cinemax, go watch it there. I don't know if Warrior is also available on Netflix, because Netflix has a lot of shows from all kinds of networks. I don't know yet. You might want to check that out too. But it's fantastic show. Right now it's episode 3, and so we're still early on in the season. So go check it out. It's so good. Even if you don't like the drama, if you're like me, a fan of martial art or a fan of action since I was a little kid, if you're like me and you just want to see some kick-ass fight scenes, you'll get it here in Warrior. The way it's shot is so pristine, so awesome. So go check it out, Warrior. Thank you so much for tuning in on this live review of season 1, episode 3. If you have seen the episode and you have some thoughts about it, or if you disagree with me, let let me know. Let me know. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Share your press that like button, ring that bell, and if you can help support me, please do so at patreon.com/ramascreen. Thanks, you guys. Let's rock this.